Nation. We're back.
We are back. Welcome back to another episode of Fire the Cannon. I'm Rocky.
And I'm Megan, and we are Fire the Cannon.
Boom. Welcome back, Megan. We're together tonight because we were supposed to do like 28 things today, and we ended up just sitting on the couch and kind of chatting about the game because we're so excited.
Yeah.
We're supposed to like craft some things for the game day. We're supposed to do all these things. But we did eat like some chicken tender.
Yes. Some real hot chicken. None of that Nashville hot chicken.
No. Nashville is so funny. They thought their chicken was hot. Welcome back, Megan. It is Thanksgiving week, which means it is rivalry/hate week. And we're so excited because we have the Aggies coming to DKR after all these years. It took forever to play them, 13 years or so to play them. And Texas went into College Station last year and should have dropped 30 or 40 on them. Could have dropped 30 or 40 on them, but came out with a dub, and that's all that matters. So we're going to talk about that. The Aggies are coming. Number 3 undefeated Aggies are coming to Texas, right, this weekend, this Friday night. So let's talk a little bit. We will talk a little bit around the 40, volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, kind of recap the Arkansas game, what we learned and what they're going to take into the Aggie game, preview that game, make our picks. And then, of course, it is hate week, so we'll talk about the biggest rivalries around college football. But first, it's Thanksgiving. Megan, are you excited for Thanksgiving?
I love Thanksgiving. Look,
we're thankful for everyone watching already.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate y'all. So, look, Thanksgiving, I feel like, is an underrated holiday. Now, Halloween is my number 1. Christmas is my number 2. But I feel like Thanksgiving, like, the older I get, the more I appreciate Thanksgiving. Like, as a kid, it was just kind of a thing that you're like, whatever, we eat turkey, we do this. I'm thankful for this, right? But, like, as I get older, I am genuinely grateful. Like, I appreciate the things I have more. So, and I appreciate the Friendsgiving and the time together and seeing family and all that. So, yeah, I like this time of year. How about you?
I'm kind of the opposite. The older I get, the less I'm worried about Thanksgiving. We don't really do much for Thanksgiving. Like, I'll see my family, and tomorrow we're actually going to do the big Thanksgiving with my sister and her family. But we're usually gone for Thanksgiving or go somewhere where they do not celebrate Thanksgiving, so it's kind of easy. It's a lot of work and a lot of money for one meal.
Yeah, I think the way for me,
and I see my family all year long.
So I appreciate that.
I'm fortunate that way.
Yeah, I do too. But like, I appreciate some of the traditions that go around it. And like, I will definitely say, like, our family has scaled back, right? My sister and brother-in-law and the kids, like, they travel around. They've got to share time with family. So a lot of times it's me and my parents who I do see a lot. I see my family. I'm very fortunate. But then we do our Friendsgiving here. But like, I feel like it's more about the being together than like having to have a giant smorgasbord of food out, right? Like,
yes, which is why Thanksgiving's not that big a deal to me, because I see my family and get together with my family all the time.
That's
like fair. Everyone's birthday.
And I'm here all the time. That's really what you meant.
And I see you all the time. Happy Thanksgiving and Hookem from Mike D. Happy Thanksgiving from Rick. Hey, Rick. Good to see. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Yes. So I don't know. It's a fun day, but more for the football and the long weekend and all the things. But it's not that big a holiday.
That's fair.
It's fine.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like for me though, like growing up, so we know I'm not a Cowboys fan anymore, right? But like growing up a Lions fan and growing up a Cowboys fan, and then also obviously a Texas Longhorn.
Oh, you had the day.
I had the day, girl. Like
that could put you in like
it was just like
coma.
It was football perfection for me as a kid, you know. So excited. Still had to rock the Lions stuff today. Excited for the early game. Lions are always the early kickoff. Let me ask you this. Like, I know we're going to talk more about the rivalry here in a little bit, but I want to ask you: do you miss the Texas A&M game being on actual Thanksgiving Day, or do you like it as Black Friday?
I liked it the actual Thanksgiving Day. I don't have any. I have a cousin that's an Aggie fan, but all of my family are Longhorn fans. So, and it's really cool because over the years we've also hosted like friends, like we've had rugby players from other countries stay come and live with us, and we get to teach them the tradition of turkey and this and that, and then we all sit down and we watch the Aggies. So the last time was the last game, right, where Texas was down, went back and forth, and then Texas survives, right, at A&M. The big kick game, right? We were hosting a young rugby player from Scotland, and he was living with us.
This was before A&M left for the SEC.
Right. This was that game.
Not last year.
No, not last year. 13, 14 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so he was staying with us, and he had a friend visiting from Scotland too. So we showed him Thanksgiving and everything. And then by the time we got to November, he was already a Texas fan by that point because he was with us, right? And so, the roller coaster they rode that day with us on that night.
Well, I mean,
and then they were in. After the game, they were in. They're the two of them, like they're gonna be Longhorns for life, and they live in Scotland.
Look, I feel like American football is that way, right? Like college football specifically. Like you introduce people to it. To me, college football is like Buc-ee's in that sense. Look, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give a shout out to an Aggie establishment.
Best thing they ever did.
Hell yeah, man.
Buc-ee's.
Look, like I feel like Buc-ee's is college football in the sense that you tell people about it and they hear about it and they're like, okay, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
But then you take them to it and they're like, I get it now. Yeah. I get it now. So yeah, I definitely feel like that is how college football plays out. Certainly this rivalry. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But before we jump into hate week and all 10 things we hate about the Aggies, right? We're going to talk.
Only 10?
Look, we try to limit the show. We appreciate y'all being here.
Keep it positive.
Yeah, right. So
there's enough negativity out there.
But we are going to talk. Let's look around the 40. A lot of stuff going on right now. Rocky, why don't you kick us off?
We'll start. Mike D brought it up. Sorry for the volleyball team. Tough loss.
It was.
So the women's volleyball team, they only lost 2 matches all season, and they were able to redeem the one to the Aggies along the way in the SEC semifinals for the championship tournament.
With a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah, 3-1. Right, 3-1. And then they faced Kentucky. And you and I were messaging back and forth. I was watching at home. You were watching at home. And they got a 2-0 in the third match. They had match point twice. And service error, blah, 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 blah. They couldn't finish.
Yeah.
And then here comes Kentucky, just took that momentum and they were gone.
Credit to Kentucky. Look,
Kentucky. They adjusted and they had so much confidence.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So, I mean, it was an incredible game by Kentucky. Look, you and I were talking about this as we were watching this game. The Texas versus Kentucky felt like a national championship game.
Yes.
And I do think that game had national championship implications. I think at the end of the day, like, yes, you'd like to take home the SEC championship, right? It's another trophy in the hall. But at the end of the day, it's not going to affect the outcome of your season. It's not going to affect your ranking, right? It was a heartbreaker. It sucks to lose it, but I think we're going to see both Kentucky and Texas end up as number 1 seeds in their respective brackets. And I do really, truly feel like Texas versus Kentucky, I think we got a preview. Now, Nebraska, don't count them out.
I don't know.
Nebraska is incredible, and I think it's going to depend on where the chips fall there, right? But yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw a Texas versus Kentucky final. I think that'd be pretty incredible.
I mean, you think about it, like they always say, first you lose big, and then you lose close, and then you win close, then you win big.
Right.
Texas knows what it's like to win a national championship, right? 2 recent back-to-back championships. But this game, like Kentucky came to Austin.
And Kentucky was right before Texas, too, weren't they?
Kentucky was what?
A couple years ago. Kentucky got a national.
Yeah, they got one. They said 2020, I think they said. So this, the Friday night, Halloween night, when Texas went to College Station and got swept by the Aggies, then they came home and got swept by Kentucky at home, and they hadn't been swept at home.
It was just a rough weekend.
It was just a rough, funky weekend. And they had a chance to redeem that win and kick the Aggies out of that SEC tournament. And then it seemed like everything was lining up for them to redeem, like the redemption tour and a championship. And it didn't go their way. It just fell apart. But like you said, props to Kentucky, because damn, those women were amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
but it did feel like you were watching every serve was like a 30-40 rally, like just back and forth, and nobody would quit, nobody would miss. Oh my goodness, it was so good. It was such a good game.
Look, we say this all the time. I wanted to point this out too for those that were watching, the whole game. We know and love Kari Spears, right? Her dad was there, Marcus. He is just like the best girl dad. This dude of all dudes, right? Like showing up for his daughter and just getting into it. So they interviewed him during one of the sets. And what a champion for women's sports, what a champion for volleyball, what a champion for Texas. Like, he went to LSU, but he's there fully supporting his daughter. He's bought all in. And he was saying, like, look, I do this professionally. I'm an announcer. He's like, but here I'm a dad, and I'm living and dying by every serve.
Yeah.
And he said the thing that we say all the time. volleyball atmospheres are incredible.
Exciting.
And this was another one of those things. So yeah, man, I don't know if you saw kind of, as we talk about volleyball atmospheres, did you see over this past week that Nebraska was complaining about Indiana in the Big Ten tournament? There were some Indiana fans that were pretty close to the Nebraska server. And Nebraska was making this big deal about it. Like, oh, how unsportsmanlike that they were. And look, what I will say is,
I don't know.
If they were inappropriate, like if they were abusive,
Yeah.
you're right. That's one thing. That's too much. But one of the coolest things about volleyball is, like, have you been to the Greg? Like, your seats are, if you have those courtside seats,
They hear everything you're saying.
it's not just that. Like, there are times you could reach out and touch the back of their head.
Yeah.
Like there have been plenty of times that I've had a server, like when I would sit with Scott, right? We'd have a server back up and literally, like, I could whisper sweet nothings into her ear. It is that, but that's what makes that volleyball atmosphere amazing, right?
Yeah.
So suck it up, Nebraska. Like, you're a damn good team. Y'all won anyway.
It's silly to
As long
cry
as the
about
fans
that.
weren't being abusive, calm it down. That's what sports about.
Yeah, Mike said it's going to be Texas, Nebraska, or Kentucky.
Yeah,
It would have
agreed.
to be a major upset for it not to be one of those.
Yeah,
three
absolutely.
seeds, right? All right. Yeah, the Kentucky players were feeling off the horns down, but you know what? Give it to them. They before the game even started, they were horns down. It was good for them. I mean, you know what? Whatever fuels them, every break, horns down. Good for you. It fuels them till then, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Yes, women's basketball did have a big win today. We'll talk about that. Oh, volleyball, one last thing. Selection on Sunday, right? The seeds. So we'll find out on Sunday where they go. All right, women's basketball. 5-0 now, 6-0 after beating number 3 in the country, UCLA today. They are at the Vegas Players Era Championship. They're averaging 103 points a game, which is crazy. Gone down a little bit after today, scoring only 76 on UCLA.
College,
But
is that it?
that's amazing. Yeah, so then they have, either, depending on who won this evening, they'll either have South Carolina or Duke. So probably South Carolina. That'll be fun. If they do end up playing South Carolina, I need to go check. But that will be a fun, because this is not SEC conference play, but it'll give you a great measuring stick of where they are against the back-to-back champions of South Carolina, right?
Where it doesn't count against your conference record, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's always nice when it doesn't count against. Good. Thank you, Mike D. The men, they started at 8:30. So the men's basketball playing, they're 5-2. They have losses to Duke, who's now undefeated up to number 4. They lost to an unranked. Yeah, the men are up 37-27. Thanks, because they're playing a ranked NC State team.
Yeah.
So hang on to that. Hang on to that, guys. They're in Maui. They lost to Arizona State by 1 point in the middle of the night the other night.
I know it.
I know.
That last 5 minutes was pretty rough for Texas. But something I did notice about men's basketball with this new, the dawn of the Sean Miller era, it seemed like the team was communicating better.
Oh,
it seems like they were moving the ball pretty well up until that last, 5 minutes of play. But again, some of that's to be expected. Some of those growing pains with the new head coach, a new team. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to men's basketball. Love seeing what's going to happen there. So hey, look at that. We got some Aggies in the comments, man.
Welcome.
William,
Enjoy the show.
Welcome. We'd love to hear your comments. We appreciate you being here.
Just keep it fun. We're keeping it fun. Mike D, they do play South Carolina tomorrow at 7. That will be Thursday night at 7. So lots of sports tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Let's see. So yeah, the men, they have they're playing NC State now. We'll keep up with that score.
Yeah.
And then they are back at home for the SEC challenge, the ACC SEC challenge.
Yeah.
They get Virginia, unranked Virginia at the Moody, 8:15 p.m. I think it was Sunday night or Monday night. I need to go check. I put the notes that I did for today. Anyway, Megan, you wanted to give a shout out to the soccer coach?
I did.
Soccer coach?
First and foremost, wanted to shout out to Coach Kelly. We appreciate everything that she did. Coach Ange was amazing. Unfortunately, the results now.
SEC championship.
Texas came in, won that SEC championship the first year, but the results this year weren't quite what we were hoping. I think there had been some questions about that. So in the absolute worst kept secret of the NCAA to date, Texas welcomes Marguerite Bates. Again, welcome, former coach at UCLA. The thing that cracked me up about this is, like, guys, you're not fooling anybody, right? Texas announces that they're, Coach Kelly is going in a different direction. We respectfully letting her go. Appreciate her years of service with Texas. And then UCLA, just a few hours after that, announces that their coach is stepping down to, quote unquote, pursue other opportunities, right? And then the next day it's announced that she is at Texas.
Followed that, so I'm glad you told me.
Yeah. So again, Coach, welcome to the 40. We appreciate you being here. Looking at some of her stuff going on. Look, she was the first rookie head coach to win the NCAA Division I Women's Soccer Championship. That was in 22. She has a record at UCLA of 67, 13, and 9. So that's an 80% win percentage in 4 years. That's impressive.
Dang, that's really good.
Fourth best mark of any program during that stretch. She's a 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. She's got 2 conference titles and 4 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances.
That would be nice.
Look, we say this time and time again, CDC don't miss.
Right.
And my favorite thing about, being a Texas fan and watching what CDC does is, look, there are times that we may have some sports that aren't excelling in the ways that we expect or living up to the standard that we expect at the University of Texas. But what CDC will then do is, and not many schools can do this, they will go up to championship winning coaches and say, Pluck, we'll take that. Thank you. And take championship coaches. We saw with Coach Bob Bowman, following up Coach Eddie Reese with swimming, literally coming off a national championship. We'll take him. Thank you. We've got one of the winningest coaches in a short period of time and a young coach coming up in soccer. Pluck, we'll take that. Thank you. So we did it with Coach Schloss coming off of a runner-up national championship run. Pluck, we'll take that. Thank you. So yeah, man, look, be mad at Texas. I understand it. I can appreciate why some rivals and other teams would get mad. I'd be pretty pissed too if Texas came in and stole your winningest coach of all time. So that's what we expect at the University of Texas. So anyway, Coach Bates, welcome to the 40. We're excited to see what Texas soccer can do under your tutelage.
All right. One more thing of news before we dive into the Texas football recap of Arkansas. We have to mention it is Flipmas, right? It's Flipmas season. It's that time right before signing day. Signing day, there's always, sometimes there's some players that develop late. Maybe there's some that their programs, especially with all the coaching changes and, there's question marks of where they were committed. Or sometimes there's just, you didn't get the guys. So there's players that you were scouting late and you're going to bring them in, right? So we have 3 flips. Running back, Jet Walker from Georgetown. So we haven't had a player from Georgetown in a while. Now we got 2 flip. He was committed to Minnesota. Welcome, 6'2", 215 running back. Flip from Minnesota to Texas. We have linebacker from California, Rocky Cummings, who flipped from Cal to Texas. And then we have offensive tackle Caden Shearer who flipped from Stanford to Texas.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's a big one. That O-line's a big one.
Those are all great. And I still got to find out, there was a recruit at the game on Saturday I should just post a picture in a minute. He was wearing striped overalls with no shirt underneath. And I'm like, who is this amazing, obviously offensive lineman? There was no question about it. Who is this player?
You've got to love those players. Like, some of them could be different position players, skill players, whatever. But there are just certain body types that you look at and you're like, I know exactly what you do.
Just everything about him. The overall.
He was like corn-fed white boy.
Everything about him.
In burnt orange and white.
Line.
Listen, he's in burnt orange and white, striped overalls, no shirt. Just it was pretty incredible. So look, I love Flipmas season. It has worked out well for Texas. So we'll talk about it.
That's a good point. Miracle Martinez, they've taken the UCLA to coach beach volleyball and soccer.
Yeah,
wherever the best are, CDC will go get them. Right.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk, Megan, Texas football, because that's what everyone's talking about. All the other things too, but we want ready to dive into football. First, we're going to recap the Arkansas game. Quickly recap more to just see what we can take from it to the big Aggie rivalry game. So let's talk about the atmosphere, Megan. We were both at the game. It was a sold out crowd. It went from like a beautiful sunshiny afternoon to
1,000 degrees somehow.
To really, really hot, to really cold, to hot and cold, but it was breezy and nice. And then it went to nighttime, which is great because we got a little taste of the night game action. So the flyover, we heard there was going to be a flyover, and it was the fastest flyover I ever saw in my whole life. Like, only because I was ready for it. And even then I missed it. It was, I've never seen a flyover that fast.
Yeah, it was impressive. Look, I had to look up what the planes were just to make sure. But they are actually training planes. They were T-38 Talons. So these guys top out around 860 miles an hour.
They were going 4,000 miles.
Look, they top out about Mach 1.3. but they're used for training. They've been in service since the 60s, the early 60s. Yeah, super cool. Look, and that's one thing I truly love. Again, we talk about college football, and we can talk about the NFL. You can talk about football on all different levels, but there's just something special about college football with the pageantry and the craziness. Clemson, I don't know if you caught that really cool, possibly one of the coolest images from a flyover at Clemson. It was like a bomber, like an old, I'm going to get the plane wrong. Military people, don't yell at me. I'm fully acknowledging I'm probably getting it wrong. But it looked like a B-52 bomber, like an old school big bomber plane. But they also Clemson had their photographer in a helicopter above that. And got this beautiful video.
I did see that.
Got this beautiful video and timed everything. It was just really cool. But like, you don't get that with the NFL. You don't get that for high school football, right? It is just that unique atmosphere in college where the drone shows and the flyovers and the crazy, like, I went here, did you go here? Who cares? We're all insane about it. Like, I love it. That's what makes this time of year so special. That's what makes college football so special. So yeah. Anyway, all that to say, it was a badass flyover.
Yeah, it was. It was. I have a video, but we'll worry about it later. All right. So another cool thing that happened, like just atmosphere wise, was lots of players were there who are in the NFL now. Were in Austin last week, and I guess they had the weekend off. A lot of them. Dicker the kicker was there. John A. Barron, reigning Thorpe Award winner, and Denver Bronco player was there, and he came out and led the light up Texas fight. And this is what it looked like. If you were not at DKR on Saturday night, it was amazing. Okay, so the coolest thing too, I think, is he led it, Texas fight, but even after he stopped, it kept going.
It should though.
Yeah,
it should.
No, but I'm saying it kept going and going. People were in it. It was so one of Nadia's friends is pretty new to the United States and learning, Texas culture and everything. And he is awesome. And he was looking at all the different schools. He went to this game on Saturday, and this was the first time ever going to football or college football. He said it was the best experience of his life. And he's been all around the world. He's lived in Europe, and he's been around the world. And he said the Texas football game was the best experience of his life.
Okay. I love it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it absolutely is. Look, I think it's funny. Like, I'm all about vibes and all about atmosphere. And I'm realizing that I am a snob. I'm an atmosphere snob because I've heard a lot of people say this Arkansas game, like, oh my gosh, it was really great for, DKR was hopping and everything was great. And I'm going to say, honestly, I don't think that was like the craziest I've seen DKR. It wasn't even close.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
It wasn't even like top, to me, it wasn't even like top 7.
No, but it was still a fun.
But it was a good atmosphere for sure.
And there was exciting football, lots of scoring early on. Like you couldn't get anybody to stop scoring.
And it got louder. It got it got crazier. Again, there's just something about when you transition into nighttime where things just get a little more bonkers and a little crazier. But again, this is where I guess I'm proud of our home team, like our home field advantage. And I will say this. When I'm taking it to a level, like I've been to a lot of stadiums and I've heard a lot of stuff. And when I hold what was amazing college atmosphere and go, we can do better. I've seen us do better.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like there's that high standard there.
Yeah,
so
it was still fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So appreciate everybody that showed out. And I will say this, what's my best one? Matt, that's a great question. I would say for Texas, I think the craziest I've ever seen DKR was probably Clemson for the playoff game. That's probably like the most hype, but also I think the Alabama game ranked up there. Notre Dame ranked up there.
Notre Dame, but to me,
LSU.
But to me, this is actually crazy. But the first time we played West Virginia,
it
was wild.
You could almost feel the stadium shake.
And it was raucous, and people were moving. This was the first time it had been like that in a long time.
I agree with that.
And I remember the West Virginia fans telling us, "Is it always like this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no." That was one of the craziest to me was West Virginia, and then Notre Dame was wild, especially in overtime.
That was a great atmosphere.
Matt says definitely Notre Dame for him.
Yeah. Seth, I agree. Like it wasn't we're talking about Arkansas again. Wasn't the craziest atmosphere start to finish, but it was fun because we felt like we were going to win the whole time. Yeah, look, it was a good time. And every stadium struggles with this the week right before Thanksgiving. Students are home, right? Like it's a lot going on there. So I will say that for sure, I thought the atmosphere has been louder at times, but it was a great atmosphere overall for the Arkansas game. And I agree. It felt like Texas was just dominant from start to finish. Like there wasn't a question in that game if Texas was going to win. Like they came out with swagger. They came out prepared. There was ready.
A question because it was 24-20 at half. It was 21-20 a minute before half.
But to me, the vibe was never like, and look, I called that.
And the third quarter, there was not a question.
But I called that in our show. I said, this is going to be closer than we want in the first half. And Texas is going to pull away in the second half. And sure as hell, like that's exactly what happened. But I don't feel like the team ever questioned it when we were down at half, right? Like I don't think there was any question on like how this team was going to perform against Arkansas. For me, at least there wasn't. I felt like it was right up against the back. Hey man, William, listen, we'll put it up there. I will give Kyle Field credit. William, you said you're resisting the urge to hype up Kyle Field and the 12th man is the best atmosphere. As an Aggie fan, you're an Aggie fan. I respect that. I respect your opinion. I respect that that's there. I will say Kyle Field gets really loud. No question. Like it can be really loud, but I will say this for me, last year, I felt like Texas quieted Kyle Field significantly, right? Like Texas quieted him down. We were down field level, got the full brunt of Kyle Field. And there were moments that it was loud as hell. And for me personally, this year alone, I thought that Florida was louder than Kyle. Like my trip to Florida, sitting up in the heavens, was louder than Kyle Field was for me last year, sitting down low. Now that's just my opinion. That's just my experience. I agree. Kyle Field is up there as far as decibels go and atmosphere. Like I will give the Aggies credit. The swag surfing, it's cool. It looks cool. I appreciate it. I respect it that that's your jams. It's not for me personally, but I respect it. Looks cool. And A&M does have a great atmosphere. And I think that's one thing that A&M fans do really well. Like they get in there, they get crazy. They support their team through and through. And like, here's where you're going to think I'm taking a dig. I'm not. These are just facts. Like this is the best season A&M's had in years and years and years. Right. Y'all been 8-4 for a long ass time. But I'm going to give your fans credit. Like even in those seasons where the battered Aggie syndrome pops up, like y'all still support your team. So much credit to y'all. I'm not saying that Kyle Field, it ranks like the lowest. Hell no. I'm not saying that at all. Y'all get loud. But for me personally, in my experience there, the pre-renovation wasn't nearly as loud as it is now. And when Texas was there last year, the game dictated that we quieted Kyle Field down quite a bit. So I love it. I respect it. It's cool. So yeah. All right. Let's keep talking Arkansas. Let's get through this real quick. Yeah.
All right. So 7 opened the game with 7 consecutive possessions with scores, right? It was back and forth. Finally, in the second quarter, someone got a stop. It was Arkansas getting a stop against Texas. But punt. And then Texas, the biggest thing, and I remember one of the things that Kirby Smart talks about, which gave me confidence in the Georgia game. That I relate this because he's like, we got to score the last 4 minutes, of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. Those are the key 8 minutes, right? And blah, blah, blah. And so I think about that all the time. And Texas in Georgia was able to force them to no scores before the half and no scores right after the half. And then all hell broke loose, right? But
smart,
right? And situational football and having a plan. And Texas was able to finally get a stop on Arkansas and get that field goal. And you and I were texting like that field goal before half was crucial, especially because Texas was going to start with the ball after the halftime. And that could be a 10, 11-point swing. Boom, right there, right? Getting the ball, scoring that field goal before half, going into the halftime with momentum, and then coming out and 21 points in the third quarter. Huge third quarter, only giving up that field goal in exchange. So that was really solid. It was already 52-23 by that point. So the game was in hand. They gave away, a couple late points like they do. But lots of young players got to play. So other than the things that we got to fix still, which is key penalties at key times, and dropped a few drop passes. The receivers had a fantastic game, almost 400 yards passing. 393 yards passing and 4 receiving touchdowns. But
see, I would change the language on that a little bit. I think the receivers picked up well enough. I think Arch Manning had a fantastic game, and I think he kept at it. right?
But I'm saying there were parts where Arch hit them in the hand.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And they dropped.
That's exactly
for
what I'm
a
saying.
huge first
So
down.
to me, I'm not going to give them I'm not going to
No,
give
I'm
them
saying
a
there were
great
still
game.
those.
Yeah.
But, but when you still get 393 yards receiving,
they had
terrible.
a good game, and it was amazing because of Arch. It could have been an incredible game had they caught the damn ball a little more consistently.
There were lots of drops.
But improvement was there.
Mm-hmm.
Improvement was certainly over, Georgia was painful. So look, yeah. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more when we look at the matchup for the Texas A&M game. We'll talk a little more in depth about the receivers. But yeah, I mean, it was a good game for the Texas receivers. They put the numbers up in the end. This was a game that, if you look at the stats, if you just look at the box score, you're like, holy shit. Like, what a wild way to play. Like, these must be some pretty incredible offenses, which, yeah, like, look, Taylor Green, many props, man. Like, he's an incredible quarterback. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks Texas has faced all season. Arch Manning finally finding his groove, still kind of figuring out the pieces around him, still looking for some consistency from the pieces around him. But I thought this Arkansas game was a good step in the right direction against a not great team.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Absolutely a terrible defense they played.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. And they were one of the best defenses. So let's talk about this. Ever since that reporter, or quote unquote,
that reporter
called Arch Manning a flop. All he's done is win, except for Georgia, right? All he's done is win. In this game, he was accountable for 6 touchdowns, and he is the first Texas football player ever, and the first in the SEC in like 11 years to have a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. So first, I want to show you a couple different clips of that receiving touchdown, because there are some people who had amazing views and videos who posted it. So here's one. Okay, that was by Park Reynolds, and then this one is I can't read. Mark. I'll read it in a second. This other one, let me tell you.
Parker Livingstone, come on, Arch! Come on, Parker! Oh my God!
He's losing his mind. That's Markiplier Simp on TikTok. Thanks for posting those angles, because that was a cool angle, and I love that he's losing his mind.
The responses he made.
He's in the student section, obviously, and he's cheering for them. Like, come on. He's loving this moment, and then he's losing his mind when that plays. You can tell he's like, in that Philly special kind of play. Anyway, okay, so here's Arch. We'll just play a second of this. This is Arch when they asked him about this play.
That play's been in for a while now, so we're excited to call it. We had it called in the timeout, and I was like, we got to call it. We got to keep it up. So it was good. Through your mind with that ball coming to you? Well, it was kind of sunny. I lost it for a second, but yeah, it was good. Yeah, I know he had good. He threw it well on Thursday, but he's bailed me out a few times, so I had to bail him out.
When you were coming off.
How humble is he? Like, and it's true. He's thrown some high and low, and
any Arch Manning hatred that you see out there, even before like this recent run that he's gone on, just tells me that you just got hate in your heart. Because if you just take him at face value, whether you're a Texas fan or not, man, there is no way that you can't like Arch Manning. Like, he's a humble kid just out here doing what he's doing. Like, and he's progressing, and to have the pressure and the national light and the attention that he's got on him, man, I just think he's handled it with grace and maturity beyond his years. And he's funny.
Yeah,
Arch Manning's funny.
Yeah, to bail him out because he's bailed me out.
I figured I owed him.
I lost it in the sun. Yeah.
I love it. But
it's fun.
Yeah, so some positives to take. Like, we'll just quickly go over offense.
Okay.
Positives to take, Rocky. What are your thoughts on that?
That there are multiple receivers who are getting more involved now.
Cool.
DeAndre Moore, Parker Livingston, Ryan Wingo. There are multiple receivers around. Even the Endry's tight end is getting involved more. And I think that really helps, because you're going to need multiple weapons against the Aggie defense.
Yeah, agreed. Look, I'm going to continue to praise the O-line here. I think that the changes that we saw at Vanderbilt, to me, we watched him go into Georgia, and while that game did not go the way that we wanted, the O-line still held up. And then we saw, that come through in Arkansas as well. The O-line looked really good. So those changes that Coach Flood put in the Vandy game have stuck. That wasn't just a fluke. That wasn't just a one more piece. We'll try it. It works for a little bit, and then it doesn't. I feel confident now about that position change. I feel like that is a group that is starting to peak at the right time. And I think that's going to take some momentum forward. And again, keeping Arch safe, keeping him protected, probably one of the more important things here moving forward for any game, but especially the Aggie game, right? So I will say that. All right, let's talk. We got to talk about it. What are some things that might cause you a little consternation on offense going into this next week?
Still struggling to have a consistent run game. And
Yeah,
I was
agreed.
happy to see that they went late in the game. They went back to the run game. Wiesner got some catches. Some carries. I looked up at the scoreboard, and we hit 100 yards rushing, which for this team was a lot. And then they
took and then they weren't at 100.
They took a knee at the end, and I'm like, that's another 2 yards off. And so we ended up with like 96, 97 yards rushing. And I'm like, oh, can't you give me this? But I snapped the screen, a picture of the scoreboard when it said 100 yards rushing. I'm like, we hit it.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad they went back to it late just to get that confidence, those carries for Wiesner. He ended up with 15 carries for 67 yards. That's not great.
Yeah.
But there were some key runs for first downs. And and Baxter had some key first downs, and his mobility is coming back a bit, so it's serviceable, not good.
Yeah.
It needs to be great, but and it's not their identity, right? Their identity is not running the ball right now. I wish it was, and they do enough, and I just don't know.
Yeah. Look,
so that's my concern.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Look, I think the run game is concerning for Texas. This is the first year that Sarkisian has not had a 1,000-yard rusher. First year with him coaching. So that to me is telling. I know we've got some guys coming off of injuries. I know we had an O-line that was kind of young and hadn't played together, and it was a work in progress during the season. So I definitely agree that played into it. I do feel like Baxter is still trying to find that like quick explosiveness that he had before his surgery. I think it's a huge injury. And I think he's still working to get that back. I'm confident that our guys will get him back there. It feels like he's still missing that just explosiveness right now. So definitely have some concerns there. And I will say, look, I've got to bring this up. I know I'm a broken record, y'all. Thank you for bearing with me for those that listen to us week in and week out. Penalties. Look, and I'm going to be the kombucha girl right now, right? That responsive, like tasting it. Ugh. Well, maybe no. Okay, look, we were better with penalties in this game until the end. It felt like towards the end when we had the second and third string guys in, as to be expected, you had some miscommunication. So I will. It was graceful Megan. Megan will say that, but on the whole, we improved with our penalties in this game. But we are still amongst the worst, if not the worst, in college football with penalties.
We are second to worst, only ahead of Georgia State.
Right. So I will say that for me is still an area where I really need to see improvement from Texas. But at this point in the season, you kind of just have to accept you are what you are, right? And Peyton, girl, thank you again for the wonderful flowers. You're amazing. Peyton. Thanks for being here. Secondary, my friend.
Oh, yes.
Peyton.
Make sure, I'm sure you're already following Peyton Yeager, but make sure you're following Peyton Yeager on all the things because she's the sweetest, smartest, sharpest sports person.
The best. But yeah, I agree, Peyton. The secondary at this stage, it's a scary secondary. And looking at what has happened at the beginning of this year, you look at that secondary and what they were doing, and we had Manny just locking things down. You had Taft running the defense, running the secondary. And it feels like Texas has regressed in the secondary this year. And I don't know what the cause for that is, right? I don't know what the missing link is or what the missing piece is. We've had a few injuries, but not to the point these guys have played together, and we're starting to see a lot of the young bucks get more time. And while on the surface, I look at that and go, hell yeah, next man up, get your best guys in there. It's concerning to me that our seniors and our more experienced guys are the ones that are kind of making, they're out of position. They're making the wrong reads. They're
missing
tackles. Look, that's concerning. Tackling was terrible in this game. Terrible.
Tackling was not good on Saturday.
Terrible.
It was probably, I need to go look at the numbers, but it might have been their worst tackling day. And granted, Arkansas had shifty footwork on a lot of people.
Okay.
But that was too many.
A&M's going to be better.
That was too many
Yeah.
missed tackles, and that's something that they can fix. But I think, like, when you talk about the secondary struggling, Coach Sarr said, like, why do they leave? We're asking, like, why do they leave so much space? Why do they play so off and give up 5-10 yards before, and then the yards after the catch, right? And he's like, well, you have to have confidence to play press, and they're young. A lot of them are young. You have young Kate Phillips. You have these young players, Grayson Littleton, young, super talent. I mean, you're talking about the number 1 recruiting class in the country last year, but they are young. Well, some of them are young. Some of them are older and experienced, but like you have, it takes confidence, he says, for them to play that press, to get up but then how do they gain confidence if they're playing off and giving up 10 or 15 yards?
Right.
I don't know.
Look,
I'm not the coach.
I get it, but it's broken. Like, just, it's broken. And look, Mike, I appreciate what you're saying here. This is one of the things we've talked about early. We know that Taft is like the leader, the director of this defense, but there's got to be more than just him.
Well, he's in the back. They have
and that's to me, but that's been the problem, right? With Ant Hill being out, he was the green dot, right? How do you make up for that? I do think that has been some of our issue, right? With Hill being out, him missing in there makes a big difference in that communication. But Taft can't be the only one that knows how to read offenses. Taft can't be the only one on that defense, especially at this point in the season. He can't be the only one that understands how to direct and where to be and where to place people.
I think Jelani McDonald has a lot of voice. I think, I think Derek Williams came in and you could see him talking out there, even when, I know he's young, but even when
but they're still out of position. That's the problem.
I know, but even when Jonah Williams was out there, I took a great video of him. He was out there talking and pointing, and it's just going to take time. And that Arkansas offense was good. Aggies offense is going to be better with better athletes. So it's
the secondary is a concern.
Secondary is a concern. And we're still, it says Hill is listed as questionable for this. I think he's going to roll out there with half a leg if he had to, or half an arm, with whoever his injuries. This aggression needs to be studied.
I agree. Look, so that's definitely a concern there. I think that's something that we need.
Because the first half of the season, the team leaned on the defense.
Absolutely.
The second half of the season, they're surprisingly leaning on the offense. And the first half of the season, it was defense and special teams. Special teams was really getting going, like the return game and everything. Now they're of course not kicking at Niblett or anything. We'll talk about that in a second. And now they're leaning on the offense, having to outscore people. And this is going to be a shootout, old-fashioned
barn
shootout.
burner, right?
All right.
Okay, y'all. So takeaways from the Arkansas game. Final thoughts on that. We'll move on to Anna after that. What are your final thoughts for Arkansas?
My final thoughts are we have an offensive flow, which is great, and we came back from halftime on fire, which we haven't done as much, but still those dreaded fourth quarter points at the end. They gave up 21 to Vanderbilt, 21 to Georgia, 14 to Arkansas, and scoring nothing in the fourth quarter for Texas. That can't happen.
Yeah, I again, for Arkansas, for me, I'll give a little bit of a cushion there. We did have our second and third and fourth string guys in at that point. But to your point, that can't happen.
But I looked at who was making the tackles in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was some players we count on.
That's fair.
All right.
Well, yeah, look, so Texas walks away with the win. Was a pretty dominant win there. Again, looking at the box score, you might think it was closer than it was. Texas was great in that second half, really ran away with it, and then got good. So one rival down. Two rivals down, one to go.
All
right. So before we jump into this A&M discussion. Let's take a look. We know that the injury report just came out.
Yeah, the availability report.
Yeah, so you had mentioned, Rocky, some questions about Ant Hill. He is listed as questionable. We know that Ty Anthony Smith is going to be out for the first half due to a targeting penalty. Let me ask you about that targeting penalty as we're talking about this and availability. What were your thoughts on it? Do you have it for us to take a look at?
Let's play it.
Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I will tell you this.
Oh. Okay.
I will tell you this. In the game, I said it was targeting.
It
in
fits
the game,
the definition of targeting, but what can you do about that? Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you're in the game in the motion and you go for that hit, is it the definition of targeting? Yes. What can you do about it? Are you just trying to play football? Yes.
Yeah, no, agreed. Look, I think as someone whose dad is a lawyer, I am going to say, if you look at the definition, the legal definition, yep, it was targeting. Sorry, Texas, it was targeting, and it sucks, and it is going to be impactful. Having Ty Anthony Smith out for the first half of this game is going to be impactful. That will make a difference. But for me, the issue is not so much with the hit; it's with how the legislation is written, right? Like the actual letter of the NCAA rules, how that's written. To me, there's got to be a change in there, and I think we've seen this, both in the NFL and in college football. There are just too many ways, almost too many advantages for the offense. We want to protect players. We want to keep them safe. We want to keep them healthy, no question. But when you're watching textbook tackles, right? Textbook tackles get called for targeting. I think there has to be some kind of conversation around intent. There has to be some kind of conversation around physics. Right? Like, is it physically possible to avoid that kind of hit? Right? Like, and look, I'm not the one to write it. I'm not the one to fix the problem, but it does feel broken at this point. That rule in particular does feel broken, and we are going to see that affect this game, this A&M game. So
especially with the tight end play and play action over the middle and all the things that we need lots of linebacker depth for. And we have the backstory too of Ty Anthony Smith was committed to the Aggies, right? He was, flipped to Texas a couple of years ago, and he's been amazing. He's having a fantastic season, developing and really contributing. So so when he comes out in the after halftime, he's going to have his hair on fire.
I agree with that.
All right. So let's talk about the vibe of the game. This is a renewed rivalry, right? Texas Aggies have not played at Texas in 14, 15 years now in DKR. It is going to be rocking. It is going to be wild. This is let's see. What do you think about, like, what is your best Texas and Texas A&M memory?
Yeah. Oh, man. This is going to be
rivalry memory.
This is going to be cliche. I will say this. As far as the game goes, I mean, it had to be 2011 for me. Like, I was there. We've talked about this before. I don't know how I managed it. I was there with my buddy Chris, who is an Aggie. I was the only Longhorn sitting with a bunch of Aggies in the end zone. Like, it was an unpleasant experience, generally speaking, from a fan, right? I mean,
Texas got down 12. 13?
Yeah, it was crazy. But and for those of you that have sat with me or know me, like, I am a person that will stand and cheer the whole time. And I will cheer for my team, not against the other. My daddy taught me that. And that's just how I cheer. But that game was so incredible with the comeback and the rivalry, quote unquote, coming to an end. And then somehow I ended up on Kyle Field after that game. I actually took pieces of grass home from Kyle Field from that game. So for me, that was really special. That was a cool moment. I mean, it was kind of capping a crazy, high expectations for Texas that didn't quite pan out the past few years. But to send the Aggies back in on that note, for me, was a lot of fun. How about you?
Yeah, I think my favorite memory is Ricky Williams.
Yeah. Oh,
breaking the record.
Incredible. I was a kiddo with that. Yeah, I remember. Now, look, I will also say, I am going to say the bonfire. Texas didn't win that game, but seeing the band, when the tragedy happened, when the bonfire tragedy happened, seeing the band come together, scrap their entire halftime show.
Williams.
Yeah, and seeing that halftime show I mean, look, there wasn't a dry eye. You can't watch that and not feel something. It was just a moment where the rivalry went away. It wasn't about burnt orange and maroon. It wasn't about Texas and Texas A&M. It wasn't about football. It was just about there were kids that lost their lives, and we were all Texans in that day. And so for me, that was a really special, out of tragedy, there was this moment, like this, like beam of sunshine that was shining down on this special moment. And I thought that was really cool. William, it's cool to see that was something that you saw too.
Reminds you of how much he and haw at each other, but we're both class act.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like that to me was definitely a special moment there. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we do expect DKR. We talked about the atmosphere earlier at the Arkansas game. We compared it to Kyle Field. Yeah. We're talking about it. I expect DKR. It's a night game. We're going to get the full-on drone show. Like CDC is pulling out no stops here.
Oh yeah.
Look,
if you want a ticket, they're
pulling out all the stops.
$2,000.
Yeah, $3,000. Right. So yeah, look, I think this atmosphere is going to be rocking. I expect it to be on par with the 2019 LSU game, with the Clemson playoff game, with Georgia, with Alabama. I expect it to be on par there. I really do.
Yeah.
I think people are going to come up. Look, man, I think this rivalry has gotten tarnished a little, and I say that it's lost its shine a little because it was on hiatus. Had this rivalry not gone away, I would rank this top 3 rivalries, but it did go away.
Yeah.
And it lost a little bit of its luster, right? But this week has kind of reminded you, it's still alive and well.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We'll remind the whole nation why we hate each other. But why we're all still Texans, right? We'll figure it out. But yeah, I expect the atmosphere to be kind of crazy. What are your thoughts? What are your anticipations for this?
I'm excited because it's also senior night,
yeah.
Right? So the last home game of the season is senior night. And a little side note about senior night is it's always interesting. Like, we know some people who will walk,
right.
But then there's always like, they could walk. Yeah. Are they going to walk because they're going on to the NFL or they're done playing football? We know Anthony Hill likely, top first round pick projection. He will probably have senior day. But players like Gooseby, is he going to walk or is he coming back so he can be on campus with his basketball brother next year? Or, there's always other players that we know. Michael Taft, he came back for next year already. He's done. So he'll walk. Yeah. There'll be some players. Are they walking or are they not? We'll see DJ Campbell go. Just really impactful players over the years that it's interesting to see if they're going or not.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun if they walk or not. Even if they do come back, go ahead and walk now.
Right.
Or are they walking because they're gone? Like, senior night is really special. So we'll have senior night too. So there's that extra fight out there for the seniors, right? Who've led this Texas team, and everybody wants to play hard for the seniors on senior night.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into the Aggies coming to town. They are 11-0. It's hard. No, okay, let's preface this by saying it is hard to be 11-0, even if you only play the worst teams ever. It's still hard to be 11-0.
Yeah.
Texas played a terrible Florida team and lost. So going undefeated, even when you play bad teams, is not easy. So we will preface it by saying it is hard to be undefeated, and they are undefeated. So that's really hard to do. Also, it is true they've played the worst of the SEC, right? So if you take out the bottom half of the SEC, right? If you take out the bottom, we know there's 16 teams. You take out the bottom 8. Texas is 2-1 against the top half of the SEC. Mm-hmm. The Aggies are 0-0
because they haven't played anybody in the top
half.
Yeah.
We're saying it. They whooped up on who they're supposed to whoop up. They survived who they're supposed to survive. Yeah. But they have yet to play a single team in the top half of the SEC. Their best win, which is respectable because they went to Notre Dame and won at Notre Dame. Yeah. Notre Dame was struggling at the beginning of the year, but now they're on fire. They are a good team. It's not a good win for them. Yeah. Just like Texas beating OU now looks like a really good win. Texas beating Vanderbilt still looks like a really good win. Yeah. So when you look at the Aggies schedule, what really stands out to you about how their season has gone?
Oh man, you're gonna make me be this way, aren't you?
No, I'm just asking you.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Look, I have said this all year. I've said this once we started watching what A&M was doing and how they were playing and some of the ways that Texas was playing. Look, I think A&M is a better team than Texas right now, just hands down. Pound for pound, punch for punch. I think A&M is a better team than Texas right now.
Okay.
That being said, you got a weak ass schedule. Aggies. You do. I'm sorry. You got a weak ass
Got
schedule.
lucky. And then they had third string quarterback.
Right. The teams that could stand up and put up a fight, they had some chips fall, fortunately for them. Some, Missouri was banged up when they played them. Look, that South Carolina win. So here's what jumps out to me. There are some wins here, and agreed. Again, I'm going to preface this by saying, listen, Texas shouldn't have lost to Florida. Hard stop, period. That was a bad
Ugly,
loss for
bad
Texas.
loss. They fired their coach the next
They
week.
fired their coach. Now, they had some pieces against Texas that they didn't have for most of the other, that Dallas kid. Dallas, what was it, Wilson?
Dallas, Austin.
Wilson.
No, Wilson.
Yeah, look.
Austin. That's another.
That was an unfortunate break for Texas, and he torched the shit out of us, right?
Let's surprise him with a phenom.
Right. So I will say that was rough. But when I look at A&M, okay, you beat Arkansas 45-42. All right. So Texas, that's a better win for Texas. South Carolina, that took a miracle comeback for A&M to win 31-30. So while I get it,
It was a good comeback.
and at the end of the day, that was an incredible comeback. And at the end of the day, you're sitting at 11-0. Respect. Like I am absolutely saying respect. You're 11-0. You're a good team. I think you are a better team than Texas right now. But you also got to take that shit with a grain of salt. Look at who you've played. Look at how you've played. A&M had a very soft schedule this year, and there were some scares. There were some scares on this schedule for A&M. So, again, I will give respect where it's due. 11-0 is impressive, period. Hard stop. But I am going to put an asterisk on it and say
They haven't played a team with a winning record in the SEC.
correct.
That's
So
the thing.
that's where I say, look, man, like you've got to be realistic. Like if Aggies are talking about this real for real, you've got to at least factor in the kind of schedule that they have. And look, you play who you have on your schedule. You can't change. I mean, you can change your out of conference. You can't change your conference schedule. I respect that. I get it. Right. But yeah, I think it's been a softer schedule for A&M. I'll say that. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree. So they have a combined SEC record of 11-40. Those teams that they played. That's just there is to it. Their best win, like we said, was at Notre Dame. That's a good win. And does that make Texas more ready to take on because Texas has had a tougher schedule?
I think that's a fair argument.
We'll see. Well, we won't know.
Yeah.
They could still come in here and light Texas up because that's just what they do. This big comeback. It's just the thing about like the narratives, and we all shift the narratives how we want. Like this week, I posted a thing about Michael Taft, and oh man, the people who think they know that if a DB possibly has too many tackles, it's because your whole team is trash. Well, whatever. Anyway, what I was going to say is like there's narratives, right? When Texas went to Mississippi State, a terrible team on the road at night, went to Mississippi State or afternoon, whatever, and had this miraculous comeback in overtime to win, right? It's because you're trash and you survive a trash team. But when the Aggies at home go down to a team who's just as bad in the SEC and have a great miraculous comeback,
but yeah,
have a great miraculous comeback. Oh, it's because they're the best team ever.
Yeah, look,
it can't be both. Either you stank it up and survived, or you're the best team ever.
Right.
It can't be both.
Compare apples to apples, right? Yeah, no, agreed. Look, I think this is going to be a dogfight no matter what. And I do think that we will say you kind of have to throw out box scores in this rivalry. You kind of have to throw out that stuff. I do think, Rocky, there is so much validity in comparing realistic apples to realistic apples, right? Don't give me apples to Cadillacs. Yeah, just like you can't do that. So I think, and again, I've said it, I think A&M is a better team right now than Texas. But to your point that you brought up a little bit earlier, I do think Texas is more battle tested than A&M is right now. I think Texas has gone into really hostile territories. And look, this is going to sound like a knock on A&M. It's not. It just is what it is right now. Right, wrong, or indifferent, Texas always has a target on their back. we could be 0-11 coming into whatever game we're playing, and people want to beat Texas because of the perception of the arrogance and we get more attention than we
Their
deserve.
Stadium sell out for the first time in 4 years when Texas comes.
Right. So I think that Texas does get everybody's absolute best shot, and I don't know that A&M gets everybody's best shot right now. I think this season will change how teams approach A&M. I think A&M has showed up, and Elko has turned this team into a team to worry about. A team to really take seriously. I think that is look, A&M, you're on notice now, right? Like, people know who you are now. People care who you are now. And I know that sounds arrogant. I know that sounds shitty, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. People want to beat the shit out of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That is a feather in your cap. No matter what you do, you're going to bring your best against Texas. And I don't know that A&M has always gotten that kind of effort out of other teams. This year will change that for A&M.
Yeah.
And for Elko's crew. So y'all better be ready for it. And I can tell you, Texas is going to be ready. Texas is going to bring that same energy to A&M, right? So I think this is going to be, there's so much riding on this game. And this is going to be one of those crazy games where you look at the stats, you look at the numbers, you look at who's been tested and who hasn't. You look at the key matchups, and then you throw all that shit out the window. You throw it all out the window.
All right. So you mentioned the key stats. Let's talk about just a few key stats for. And again, like you've been saying, you got to take it with a grain of salt. So Aggies, congrats. You're number 1 in third down defense. Texas, number 37 in third down defense. Not that great. But let's look at your opponents. Number 43, Mississippi State. I'm talking about their offense, right? Third down offense. Number 77, Auburn. Number 93, LSU. Number 117, South Carolina. Number 123, Florida. So, yes, you're number 1 defense, but you have to look at who they've played, right? So they're going to be stout. They're going to scheme for Texas. No questions asked. But you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Third down offense, they are number 48 in the country, and I thought they would be higher because they do have a prolific offense, but Texas isn't that much far behind. Passing yards, similar. Texas actually has way more passing yards per game than
allowed. Passing yards allowed.
Oh yeah, offense too. Oh no. Yeah, passing yards allowed. Yes, Texas giving up way more than they are. Red zone defense. This is a key that we'll talk about in a minute. Texas, top 27-ish defense in the country in the red zone. Aggies 128 in red zone defense.
Highlight that, put a star by it, pay attention to that. That's
if Texas can get into the red zone, look out.
Yeah.
Penalties per game, down there with Texas. We're both in the bottom of the country in penalties per game.
I have to agree with Third and Longhorn here. If y'all listened to him earlier, they were saying this game's going to be 4.5 hours. F that. It's going to be 5 hours. With as much as these two teams get penalized, this is going to be and insane, and
they're going to throw all over and stop.
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of running.
They're going to stop.
Or excuse me, a lot of throwing. So the clock's going to stop, and the penalties, y'all.
We will get out there at 3 a.m.
We're going to leave DKR no earlier than 12:30 in the morning. I'm just saying.
Okay,
it's going to be painful.
And here's a stat again, considering the competition. Texas is actually top 10 in the country, plus 10 turnover margin. The Aggies are 108 in the country, -5 in turnover margin.
Yeah.
That shocked me because they are such an efficient offense.
Yeah.
They will give the ball. That's averaging 1.5 or so, a little over 1 to giveaways a game. Texas is plus 10.
Yeah, that's definitely been an area of weakness for A&M. So again, if we're looking for positives here in its stat comparison, the side by side, Texas fans, you got to highlight that again. Look at the turnover margin. Look at the red zone. Texas performs pretty well. And look, can we celebrate that for just a second?
There's something we're good at.
Because we've known that Texas has not been historically phenomenal in the red zone. That is something that this team under Coach Sark has really improved, really done better. So Texas being number 27 in the nation in red zone offense, man, I'm very
we're red zone defense 27.
Oh, excuse me,
red
I'm sorry.
Zone offense,
red zone defense. Yeah. All right.
But it has improved in the last few weeks.
For sure.
Especially with using Arch the way they are.
Yeah. All right. So keep an eye on those two things, Texas. Now let's do a little bit of, we know the story here. You can't get away from it. looking at offense, it's going to be quarterback comparisons. It's going to be Marcel Reed, who is considered a Heisman contender, and going to be Arch Manning, who's considered the first flop in college football, right? Of course, I'm saying that sarcastically, y'all, from that ridiculous ass post. So let's just look at some numbers here. Let's talk about Heisman contenders, who's up there, who's being considered, and let's look at these numbers. These are thanks to Matt. Man, I'm going to butcher this. Galatson. We appreciate, man. He's been really preaching just stats, but really showing this. So Arch Manning, 2,765 yards on the season so far, 31 total touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 2 wins versus top 10. Marcel Reed, pretty dang close here, Rocky, 2,752 yards, 28 total touchdowns, 8 interception, 1 win versus a top 10. Sayin, of course, at Ohio State, 32 yards, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1 win versus top 10.
That was us.
Yeah. Fernando Mendoza, 40 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2 wins versus top 10. Gunnar Stockton, of course, at Georgia, 64 yards, 27 total touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2 wins versus top 10. So, look, I get it. I understand the conversations around here, but what I think we really are seeing is the expectation still biting Arch Manning. The early season expectation, the unrealistic expectation at the beginning of the season, I think is still tainting people's minds on how good or not good Arch Manning is at this point in the season. The numbers are there.
Yeah.
These two quarterbacks, Arch Manning, Marcel Reed.
No one has thrown for more touchdowns.
Right.
And he has rushing touchdown.
Right. And a receiving touchdown.
And now a receiving touchdown.
Look, this is an impressive stat. You've got to look at this pound for pound. Again, we're talking apples to apples here. Marcel Reed is probably one of the best quarterbacks. Again, we went against Julian Sayin, which I think will help this Texas defense. We went against Taylon Green last weekend. Again, I think he's an incredible quarterback, a very mobile quarterback, has a style similar to Marcel Reed. That helps the Texas defense. But Arch Manning and Marcel Reed, like these guys are really neck and neck when it comes to comparison.
Yeah, it's not like one is smoking the other, the way people act.
And I will agree with a few things that have been said. I think if you just look at this pound for pound, Arch Manning is the better quarterback here because of you have to consider the pieces around him. It took that O-line half a season, 3/4 of a season to get their shit right. Mm-hmm. And we still have some questions there, right? Like we feel good about it, but there's still some questions. The receivers haven't always backed him up. We haven't been able to establish a run game in a very serious way like you would to want to see Heisman front runner numbers. Mm-hmm. And yet Arch Manning is still putting those numbers up. Yeah. So I think, again, this is not taking away from Marcel Reed, but you've got to give credit where it's due to Arch Manning for playing the way that he's played, putting up the numbers that he's putting up, continuing to improve and be more accurate and still make these connections and still have these numbers given the challenges, the unique challenges he's faced this year.
Yeah. And you also, too, something that we don't talk about a lot is throughout spring and summer, he didn't have all the receivers to practice with, right?
Right.
Wingo was out with injury. Moore was out resting with injury. Andrews didn't get there till the summer. Like all of these different things. Then he has these young guys coming in, too. And there was a time where there were true freshmen getting most of the reps at practice and not even the ones playing right now. So that it's just something to keep in mind. Livingston was even out resting for a while, so it took them a few games to get on the right track and a wavelength with the receivers, but it was a while that he was missing, never had his full set out there to practice.
So I do want to ask you this. Do you think that the quarterback run is going to play a big factor in this game?
Absolutely. What do they have to lose? I can see them holding him back, right? Mm-hmm. And using him strategically in the red zone like they've done this season, or letting him really get loose. Like even at Ohio State, we saw him holding back from using his feet until too late in the game, right? I think at this point in the season where there's nothing, it's win this game or go home, right? Go to a crappy bowl or something. Either you win this game and you still have a shot at the playoffs and you'll be the only team to get 3 years in a row in the playoffs, or just got to put it all out there, right? And there's nothing holding back anymore. And I can see earlier trying to preserve him as long as you could for the season, but now it's like what do you got to lose? You got to go, right?
Yeah. So I think I have a little different take on that. I agree with you. I think there were times early in the season, we know Arch can run. He's faster than people think he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think early in the season, though, it was more about, I mean, he was running for his life half the time,
Yeah,
right?
there's a difference. Yeah.
You agreed. But I will say, I think we've watched Arch mature quickly over this season. And I think he has done a better job later on. He's picked it up quick, and he's developed this part of his game really well. Towards the end of this season, Arch has been smarter about how to an extend play, right? How does he make that play and find the right guy? I think he's been smarter about choosing when to run rather than having the game, the play in his head. You know what? This is the quarterback run designed. It's going to be a run period no matter what, or it's going to be a throw period no matter what, or a handoff period no matter what. I think he's gotten a lot better with situational football towards the end of this season. So I do think the run is going to matter. But where I'm going to say this is I like what Arch has done. He has gotten more mature. He's gotten better about not running first and seeing what he can do to extend the play. Now, where I think the quarterback run is really going to matter, this Texas defense has to contain Marcel Reed, because this is truly a dual threat quarterback who can punish you through and through. And we know that Texas has not done a great job bottling up the run versus opponents. And now you've got an additional guy that is really effing good at running. So I think that's where if we're talking about quarterback run and how it's going to affect this game, I really think it's going to be on Marcel, like Peyton, Arch Manning, staying smart and extending plays appropriately and knowing when to run and not, but also about the Texas defense having to contain Marcel Reed. They have to account for him.
I think, so last week, 2 weeks ago, last week they had Samford. 2 weeks ago when they played South Carolina, he was getting pushed around by the South Carolina edges. And for whatever reason, South Carolina backed off of that in the second half until it was too late. They tried to bring it back too late.
Yeah.
But he was getting pushed around. I think that since South Carolina, and I don't even know, maybe Missouri would be the last time they really saw fast physical edges like Texas.
Sure.
And Texas has the pressure up front that he probably hasn't seen maybe once or twice this year.
Do you think that?
Yes.
I feel like our D-line has not been getting the push that I would like to see, but I will say our LBs, like our linebackers, our edges,
the sacks, they're now one of the top in the country in sacks. Like they're getting
the D-line
up
isn't
there.
blowing up any O-lines right now.
No, I'm not talking about blowing up O-line. I'm talking about pressure.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure could be there.
Yeah.
So let's look at this. You mentioned a second ago about Arch executing the play, knowing what it is. Sure. And this is a great question. What percentage you give that the first offensive play is the pass to Wingo? So that bubble screen, whatever it is, off to the side. And there's been a little twitch to it each time.
Yeah.
A little
there's a wrinkle in the play every time.
Wrinkle each time.
Yeah.
And then at Georgia, they brought in Endries, the tight end, over for that extra blocker. And Wingo had wide open 100 yards in front of him, and he slips. There's a wrinkle to it each time. They've been opening the game with that play.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to – if they do, it's going to be – something has to be really different on it.
Look, I feel like this is Sark – this is the chess game, right? This is Sark setting up the expectation, setting up lull them into a sense of security for knowing what play is coming. But I will say this, the beautiful thing about this is that teams know it's coming now and still aren't stopping it. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
They're still not stopping it. So part of my heart says, look, if it's working, keep doing it. Keep running that shit until people prove they can stop it.
You can't start this game with an 8-yard tackle for loss.
No, that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true. And I don't think it will be that. I think there's going to be, I think we're going to see something crazy out of Sark. I think he's setting this up, and I think it's going to be some kind of wild play. Maybe it's Wingo to Arch. I don't know, but it's going to be some kind of wild ass play that he's been setting up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think that's going to be, again, like I said, he's setting up the chess game, right? It's part of the setting up the moves, but
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I do think we're going to see some variation of that. just as an extension of what Sark has been building to for the past 4 or 5 games and setting that expectation. So great question, Mike, man. I love that. I love that.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the offenses of the teams. Let's talk about the defenses. We kind of gave some stats. Aggies do have a really stellar defense. There are a lot of categories where they rank higher than Texas. There are categories where Texas ranks higher than them. They both have elite stars on the team, right? Their Cassius Howell is a beast. Wilson mentions Cassius Howell. We have Colin Simmons. We have Anthony Hill. They're great players on both sides. What are you seeing from the defenses? These two defenses.
Yeah, look, I think if I were, in fantasy land and could have my way, if Texas had the defense from the first half of the season and the offense from the second half of the season, holy shit, we'd be doing all right. But look, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier in this program. The Texas defense has regressed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I will say I am not worried about is Colin Simmons. That is going to be a man on fire. And look, I know that Ant Hill is listed as questionable, but let me tell you, y'all, we need to come to a reality check. This is going to be the last time that Ant Hill will have to play in DKR. The man ain't staying. He shouldn't. He should go.
Oh, he should go be first.
Get that bag, make that money. And with that being said, knowing that this is his last opportunity to play at DKR, he ain't missing this game for anything. I really believe, unless his arm has gangrene and has fallen off,
then he will play.
Even then, he'll be a club arm, right? I really don't see Ant Hill missing this game. So those two factors in with Colin Simmons and Ant Hill again directing traffic like we need him doing. I think that is going to play a huge factor. Now, again, much love, a lot of respect for Cassius Howell. I do think he's a guy that's going to disrupt. He's going to get in there straight up. I will tell you right now, I think he's going to get in the back, and I think he's going to be responsible for a sack or two against Arch Manning. I think our O-line is going to still have to figure out how to manage him. We're going to have to dedicate at least 2 guys to him, and that leaves some weaknesses in other places, right? But I think that PK is prepared for this. I think the Texas defense is prepared for this. And what I do love is that we have a guy like Colin Simmons practicing across our O-line. Mm-hmm. Because practicing against a guy like Colin Simmons gets you ready for a guy like Cassius Howell.
Exactly.
And so I think in that sense, Texas knows what to expect. I'm going to give him credit. I think he's going to break through on a couple plays here. But overall, I think the O-line at this point in the season is up to that task. What I do think we're going to need to see to really follow this through, our running backs and our tight ends are going to have to pick up blocks. Our wide receivers are going to have to pick up blocks. We're going to have to see creative ways that the offense manages and accounts for this A&M defense, because this A&M defense is good, y'all. It's good. I'm just going to say that outright.
Yeah, it is.
So,
all right. So let's look at before we get to our keys to the win, let's look at a couple thoughts about the game from some of our comments. So one of the questions Matt asked, Matt says, if we can drop passes and keep the penalties down, so drop the penalties and not drop the passes, then we can win this game.
Agreed.
All right. Yeah. And then there was a question about rivalry, right? And some comments about rivalry.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this before we get to our keys to the game.
All right.
Mike D said, heard the A&M's dog, that's rivalry, is not allowed to come to the stadium.
Yep.
And our Aggie who's joining us tonight says, yeah, that's fair because we didn't let Bevo come last year.
Man,
William, so let's talk. You're a pretty level-headed guy, man.
Respect for that response, because I've seen a lot of A&M fans saying, "Oh, what a bitch ass move by Texas, not letting." Okay, first of all, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Last year was the first year that Bevo ever in this rivalry that Bevo was not at the game.
Yeah.
So I get you had renovations. I understand there's less.
They could have moved some of those big speakers they brought in to pump in noise.
Yeah, if you want to blast your band over speakers, scoot them over to the side. You could have made it happen. So if A&M is going to say no to Bevo, I'm fine with us saying no to Reveille. Now, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you feel like tit for tat is fair there?
Tit for tat, but I think more whatever's safest for the animals.
Yeah.
If Bevo is in any way, especially if they were going to have to squish him in a place by students or something, no. I'm sure most are animal loving people at A&M, but it just takes one drunk student to endanger Bevo and he goes crazy, right? Or it
Well.
takes one drunk Longhorn student to endanger Reveille, which you don't want.
I appreciate that you're saying that. So I do think I would like to see the mascots at both games. And if you're going to say Bevo can't be there, then I think it's fair to say Reveille can't be there.
Yeah.
Let's keep things even. That being said, and I guess this isn't as hot a take as I would think, because I saw Amanda Atwell. We love you, girl. We've seen her comments out there saying Reveille should be allowed at the game.
Mhm.
Maybe, but
mascots should be allowed at the end.
in today's atmosphere, and I will say this, like I posted something recently. I feel like we have just gotten angrier and uglier and shittier as we've gone on. And I'll be really frank. Like, look, I've had a lot of bad experiences at away games with students are aggressive now. Not to say they haven't been bad in the past, but it feels like it's ramping up to like another level, right? And I will say this, like, I don't want Bevo in danger because Bevo can fuck some people up.
Yeah, and then Bevo's the bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, I've seen some people put this wrong numbers about Bevo. Y'all, Bevo is 2,100 pounds. And while he is a docile animal, he was specifically picked for his temperament. He's chill. He's been conditioned. He's got a great temperament. We don't drug our animals.
Mm-hmm.
We don't drug Bevo. We never have. If something pisses him off enough,
he's an animal.
He's out. And ain't nobody gonna stop. I don't care how conditioned or good he is or how good your trainers are. You ain't stopping a 2,100 pound hunk of fucking muscle.
That's like a truck.
You're not stopping that. That's a car.
Yeah.
You're not stopping that animal from doing whatever he wants to do. Now, all that being said, in today's atmosphere, I don't know that I want to risk it with my 2,100 pound steer with students being ugly and throwing things. I mean, hell, we saw Leon Lefau get hyped and throw a ball into Bevo's enclosure, right?
Celebrate.
And it spooked Bevo. Like that was just I know that Lefau didn't have any ill intent there.
You want to watch it?
No, I don't. But he wasn't thinking, right? Like that spooked Bevo.
That's not good.
And that was friendly fire. So I don't want to put Bevo in a bad position to have unfriendly fire. And I don't want Reveille in a position for unfriendly fire. Now, I think that Bevo should be at Texas OU, but that's because Bevo has a Texas safe zone, right? I think that Bevo should be at any Atlanta. Listen, at any neutral championship or bowl game, Bevo should be there. But in this game, in today's day and age, with the way that people don't know how to freaking act anymore, I don't know. I don't know that I hate the move of keeping the mascots. The opponent mascot safe. I don't know that I hate that move, honestly.
No, I think it's fine. Whatever especially I'm sure there's lots of input from the people that care for them and raise them.
Right.
All right. One more question before we give our keys to the win. Mike D23, where y'all and everyone going to be at before the game?
Well, I got tailgating. Yeah.
I'll be tailgating at Megan's tailgate.
Yeah, San Jacinto Garage. Come on by. Say hi.
Yeah, come on by and say hi. We're there. That's where we are. And we will get there, especially early this week because it's a big day.
Yep.
And it's a night game, so that helps. All right, so let's get into our keys to the game. I have 3. You have 3 or 4.
17.
You have 17 keys to the game. And we always talk about all you can do what you can control, right? And that's all you can do is what you can control. Effort, intensity, preparation, focus, no freaking offside false start penalties. Also, like we didn't talk about special teams, but they haven't been kicking to Niblet. But when DeAndre Moore they kicked it and he was there to receive one of the kicks. He ran it out when he should not have and only got to the 8-yard line. From that 8-yard line, it was like drop pass, 15-yard penalty, blah, blah, blah. It was a mess. And those kind of things like snowball, right? One silly mistake and it snowballed. That was the worst possession of the game. Started with that silliness of, I'm sure he'll never do it again. And he would have kicked himself as soon as he did it, right? He knows better. So anyway, what I'm saying is focus and intention, right? Yeah. This game is going to take their perfect game. You don't rate number 3 undefeated in the country, no matter who they are, unless you play a perfect game. So I'm going to say focus, intention, control what you can control. think keys to the game. Turn the ball over. We mentioned
Yeah.
this earlier. Texas is +10 in the turnover margin. Aggies are -5. I was
huge.
shocked
Me
when
too.
I saw
I'm
that.
surprised by that number.
That is a difference of over a turnover a game difference between the two.
Yeah.
So
I want to see Excalibur out and loaded.
yes,
Load up that damn sword.
They multiple interceptions, fumbles lost. They're there for the taking. So force the ball, force the turnovers,
Right.
take the ball away.
Right.
Number 2, commit to the run. It's going to be tough to run on this team. Texas has not been successful, but they've done enough. Often they've done enough. They did enough at Ohio State. They did enough running against OU. They can do enough when they need to keep the defense honest. They can help control the clock. They can establish that physicality on the line. Most importantly, they can give the defense a rest if they can stay on the ball, running the clock with a run game, and the defense will need to rest. We can't have them back out there with a 3 and out.
Yeah.
So all of those things, and of course, keeping the ball away from Marcel Reed and that offense. So turn the ball over, commit to the run, and for defense, I have to say tackle after the catch. If you're going to give up the catch, get them to the ground. Aggies are so good at yards after the catch. They have big, fast, physical runners. We have speed too, but if you don't get them down and they take one step, they could be gone, especially on our younger guys. So tackle after the catch, tackle before the catch. I mean, don't let them catch it, but if they do, because they will, tackle them as soon as possible, please. That's good. Limit the yak. Those are mine.
Limit the yak.
Limit the yak. Yours,
All right.
Megan?
Look, I'm going to say I agree with everything you're saying, 100%. So I actually crossed off one of my 37 things to talk about.
I'm sorry.
Because I agree with you.
Okay.
One of the things I said was run the goddamn ball.
Okay.
Look, we've got to establish a run in some way. And I agree. It doesn't have to be, I don't need 500 rushing yards in this game. What I need is a serviceable run game.
Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. What I will say is this. Texas has to limit their mistakes. Again, we talked about this earlier. Texas doesn't do well with penalties. We haven't done well with penalties since Sark has been here. We certainly haven't done well with penalties recently. We've been a little better, but not great.
It
So
can't be one of the worst in the country.
truly. So Texas has got to limit the mistakes. And the way you do this is keeping that even head, making sure you're not letting emotions get you a couple times. Don't let things burn you twice. You've got to be smart. You have the home field advantage here. Don't make bonehead mistakes.
Okay.
Limit those mistakes. Limit those penalties. I will also say explosive plays. How each team manages explosive plays is going to make or break this game. It is going to determine this game. So for Texas, for me, you've got to look at who's got the hot hand, but you can't rely on one person all the time. Take advantage of those explosive plays. Let Arch be Arch, but don't put everything on him. Let him find the right plays at the right time. Rely on Sark and execute. Sark, we know, is going to come in with a great game plan.
Yeah.
Execute. On the other side of that, you have got to limit Texas A&M on the explosive plays. You cannot let Marcel Reed beat you time and time again. We haven't talked about him this whole episode, and we probably should have. Concepcion is probably one of the best players that Texas is going to see. Players,
Oh,
period.
absolutely.
He's freaking incredible. So Texas has to limit the crazy explosive plays from there. Limit, again, don't let things burn you a couple times, but you've got to keep them to smaller plays. Instead, you cannot allow A&M to get momentum, and you cannot allow A&M to get on a roll with explosive play after explosive play. You cannot allow an explosive play every drive. You've got to keep it limited there. So I think that's going to be a really, really big key to this game. Now, I will say too, quarterbacks. This probably is a no-duh statement, but quarterbacks are going to dominate this game and decide this game. On Texas's side, you've got to protect Arch. And like I mentioned earlier, on the defensive side, you've got to get to Reed. We've seen, while Marcel Reed is incredible, we've seen that if you pressure him a little bit, pressure and contain, he doesn't make great decisions. So force him into uncomfortable situations. Make him make the plays. Force him into ways that he doesn't feel good about. Then you start to see some of those turnovers. Then you start to see some of those limited explosive plays, right? So let Arch be Arch, protect him at all costs, and go after Reed. Make him uncomfortable. I think those that's really important for this game. You do that, Texas is looking good.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
go. Okay, so we're going to give our picks for this game, our score prediction for this game. But let's answer this question. With the only 2.5-point favorite A&M, what do you think about the kickers? Since it could be a field goal game.
I love that, William. Like, look, man, and again, I'm going to give you a shout out. Thanks for being a really cool Aggie in our comments. We're here to talk ball. We're here to like be realistic about this. You've been really cool, man. We appreciate the contribution and your thoughts on this. Yeah, that's a really good point, Rocky. You want to talk special teams just real quick before we jump?
I know you'll say Mason Shipley, just keep him under 50 yards. He will have the nice confines at home. It should not be windy or rainy or things that would, if they can, like, if they can keep it under 50 yards, we feel really good about it.
We do.
We feel really good about our kicker and our kick/punt return game. Not that they're going to kick to nibble it, but just like Concepcion, we have a fantastic all-American level returner.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to show that the last few weeks because they will not kick anywhere near him.
And
they're literally even shanking out.
They'd rather shank than
the Georgia kicker had his worst game ever, trying not to give it to Niblet.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they get a shot to return, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Look, and I do think this Bowmeister is going to matter. The punters are going to matter in this game. I do think field position will matter. I agree. I think this game could come down to a field goal. Look at that, Gina. Thank you for bringing it up.
I'm checking that right now.
A&M was a 2.5-point favorite. It is down to 1.5 now. So
I'm gonna check.
So I respect and I appreciate that. Look, I do think field position is going to matter. So yes, our kickers are going to matter, but I am going to put more weight on our punters than I am on our field goal kickers, because I think that field position, we're going to be looking at an offensive battle in this game.
Yeah.
So what can you do to help your offense out? What can your special teams do to help your defense out? Can they pin the other team deep? Can you flip that field with your kicker? So yes, William, thank you. That's a great question. I do think kickers are going to matter, but for me, I think punters are going to matter more than the actual kickers.
Yeah. So. The kickers, punters, yeah, absolutely. I was thinking like not making where they can return is going to be huge. Placement is going to be huge. Good job, Gina. Well done letting us know. It is down to 1.5.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a lot of money to move a line a whole point. All right. We both hope it doesn't come down to field goals.
Yeah, no, you're right, man.
I know. I hope we're up by like 30, like the Arkansas game.
I hope so too, but I'm not holding my breath for that. All right. Also, we are going to have our picks. We hope that you guys stick with us. We're going to go through some of the rivalry week coming up. We're going to make some quick picks there, and then we'll do our Texas A&M pick at the end. In the meantime, you guys stick around. Put your picks in. Put your predictions in. I loved it. Rocky, do you have any Arch Manning shirts left?
I might have an Arch Manning shirt left.
I do. If somebody nails the score, can we give away an Arch Manning shirt?
Give away an Arch
All right,
Manning
I like it. All right, so the infamous Arch ID shirt.
ID shirt, yes.
If somebody nails the score in their predictions, and we will take a screenshot of this and make sure that we see every one of them. If somebody nails the prediction, we can give it. We can get out of it.
I
like it.
All right. Last question that I had tagged. What kind of wine? What are y'all's favorite wine?
Mine now.
Oh, you can have mine. I don't care for red that much. I like Pinot Grigio. White wine is the one. And I'm not a big red drinker, as you can tell. It's still sitting here.
I'm a Cabernet drinker.
Yeah, you can have mine, Megan.
My actual favorite wine is Cabernet Franc, which is usually a blending grape, but I like it by itself. But let me also say, well, that sounded super hoity-toity. I am very much a connoisseur of only the finest of boxed wines.
The Trader Joe.
The Trader the Bois.
The Bois de Choix. The Trader Joe. Okay. So anyways, let's get into college rivalry week. Who do you think is the biggest college football rivalry outside of Texas OU or Texas A&M? Outside of our rivals and the 13 schools that consider us their rival, outside of those, what to you is the biggest college football rivalry? And if you have thoughts too in the comments, who do you consider the biggest college football rivalry?
Yeah, look, Ghost of 40 Acres brought this question up. What does the Texas A&M Texas rivalry rank in college football? And like I mentioned earlier in the show,
top 10. It's not. It's lost its luster.
like I said,
'Cause it's been away.
earlier in the show, I mentioned, I think it's a top 10 for sure.
Texas OU is a Mount Rushmore. Texas
1000%.
A&M has fallen off, but it could be back to that in no time.
Agreed. Look, I think Texas OU and Michigan, Ohio State are probably tied for first in that. And I say this because I think they always have national interest. For me, I think Texas OU has that edge. Yes, I got burn orange sunglasses on. I will fully admit that. But also, for me, what tips the scales there is the environment. And I know it's not your jams, but to me,
on TV, everybody loves it.
But having, you're at the Texas State Fair, so that's just a cool place to be with unique things going on. There's always something to do. And then you've got that 50-yard line split. You don't get that anywhere else in college football.
Not even bowl games. So,
right.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah.
So for me, that gives Texas OU the edge over Michigan, Ohio State. But I think, look, I will say, I think Army Navy ranks up there.
Army Navy
top 5, just because of national interest, and those two programs both hate and respect each other somehow. I think that's up there. I don't know, the world's biggest cocktail party, or the world's greatest outdoor cocktail party. Florida, Georgia, I think it's top 10. I think it's top 10.
It's top 10.
But I don't think it touches Texas OU or Michigan, Ohio State.
Or Army Navy.
A&M, I don't know, Texas A&M. I'd probably put that a solid 7 right now.
I would put Texas A&M even ahead of like USC Notre Dame.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, which is a game last week that nobody watched.
Right.
All right. Okay, so just a quick, before we look at the schedule this week, just quick thoughts on, you can take the whole wine. I'm not going to drink it. The conference games, the games this week that affects who's going into the conference championships. So we're only talking about a couple of them just to kind of look at American Conference. UNT, shocking the world, right?
Yeah.
Number 24, Tulane, and Navy. They're all 6-1. UNT, they play at 3-4 Temple, so they should win that. They have the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the country that nobody's talking about, Drew Mestemaker.
Can I go ahead and put this out there? You know, I'm all about weird things on the internet and reading into things way too much. There have been so many teams this year that have tried and failed miserably to depict Denton, Texas.
Oh, on a map?
On a map and on their images. And every time they F up and they make the eagle look so freaking cool. One of the schools depicted Denton as a desert, like a wasteland desert, with the stadium there, but they put the eagle in literally like a Clint Eastwood cowboy hat with a 6-shooter revolver.
To be UNT?
Yeah, like that was their picture of the eagle. I'm like, that's cool as fuck. That eagle's cool as hell, man.
Yeah, make that your eagle. All right, so this quarterback, Drew, that no one's talking about, leads the nation in passing yards, almost 3,500 yards. They have the number 1 scoring offense with 46 points per game, 46.3 points per game. They're in the running for the American Championship game. Tulane, they go to 0-7. Charlotte, they're in the championship. Their only losses to UT.
Shout out to our friend Fran, who works at Tulane.
Shout out to Fran. And then Navy goes to 4-3 Memphis. So they have a 3-way tie, but the Navy would be out because they lost to UNT. So it looks like it should be UNT Tulane in the American Championship Conference, the Conference Championship. But go watch Drew Mestemaker, and the UNT coach is bolting. Is it Oklahoma State? Where is he going? Didn't he get the job? I need to go check, but he's gone.
The coaching.
Because you know, UNT is like UTSA or Houston or Texas State. Like once you do really well, you go somewhere else. All right, ACC leading the conference: Virginia, Pitt, SMU, all 6-1.
Yep, UNT's coach. Good call.
UNT, good. He's going to Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Georgia Tech, Miami, Duke, all 5-2. So lots of things have to happen in that conference, but it looks like it should be, because depending on if Pitt can beat Miami, they're in. If Miami can beat Pitt, they have to wait to see who else wins. SMU could be in this. So.
Shout out to former UT president Jay Hartzell for being at SMU right now.
Jay Hartzell
Overseeing.
and Blake Gideon, the DC at Georgia Tech.
Yep.
So that lots could happen in that conference. Big 12. Are there any even real rivalries?
I had to put that in there, man. Like, look, as we're talking rivalry weekend, we know we just talked Texas OU. We know that doesn't happen this week, but it makes me sad that OU and Oklahoma State couldn't figure out a way to keep Bedlam. Just somehow, some way, that would have been cool, because I do think college football is better with Bedlam around. But what can you do? So I would ask the people in the comments, with our former lover, the Big 12, are there any real rivalries left in there? Rivalries? Maybe
BYU, Utah.
Maybe Farmageddon? Yeah.
BYU and Kansas State.
Yes, that classic Big 12 matchup of BYU and Utah.
No, but I'm saying they hate each other.
I know.
They had a rivalry even when they weren't in the same conference.
Agreed.
So now they're in the same conference and they have that rivalry.
Yeah, just like Texas OU.
Yeah, Arizona State is a rivalry that now they're in the conference together.
So there are some.
They brought their Pac-12 rivalry over. But the big ones are gone.
I'm poo-pooing
the biggest one, Texas OU went to the SEC. Anyway, it looks like it should be Texas Tech, BYU, because they're both 7-1 and they're both big favorites in their games this weekend. Utah, Arizona State, Arizona, outside chance, but it should be. And then Texas Tech went to BYU and whooped their butt earlier in the season. So that should be interesting if they can get them back. Big Ten, it's Ohio State, Indiana, both 8-0 in conference. The upset could be Ohio State has to go to Michigan. And did you see the weather report this weekend?
Is it garbage?
I think it's going to be garbage, like snow, blizzard, something in Michigan.
Both of those schools are used to playing in that.
Yeah, no, they're used to it, but I'm saying that's going to.
I think the bigger factor here.
Can Ohio State fling it all around at 40-something points a game?
I think the bigger factor here is that Ryan Day hasn't been able to beat Michigan.
No, like 4 in a row or something?
6. It's like 6
What?
years. Yeah.
I thought it was 4 or 5.
No, it's like it's over 2,000.
There are Ohio State like grad students who've never beaten Michigan. Yeah, so that the winner of the looks like the winner of the Michigan, because Oregon has the loss to Indiana. It looks like the winner of Michigan, Ohio State could be the one that goes to the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
Exciting. Independent Notre Dame, but they'll be in the playoffs. They're number 9. They go to a terrible Stanford, and they're favored by 32 points.
Yeah.
SEC. This is where we're
A&M's in the roll.
A&M's in the hunt. Georgia's in the hunt. Alabama's in the hunt. Alabama we'll talk about when we pick our games. They go to Auburn. Ole Miss is still in the hunt. They only have 1 loss to Georgia. Georgia has finished their SEC play with only 1 loss, so they should be in because their only loss. They have only lost to Alabama, so it looks like the rules are there where the tiebreaker things are all there. But it could be Georgia, A&M, Alabama, maybe Ole Miss. Alabama loses to Auburn. Oh, there's so much stuff. It will not be Texas, so don't worry. If you want to do like me and cancel your flights to Atlanta that I have to do because I had flights. Anyway, so rivalry, some are gone, some are back. Some moved over to another conference.
Fair enough.
Let's talk games. College football, week 14, rivalry week.
You got it.
Rivalry week.
That's so hard to say.
It is hard to say.
It's like the Red River rivalry.
All right, affecting the American Conference Championships. It's Thursday night. Navy, Memphis. Oh, we got to check that Texas basketball score.
Yeah.
Navy, Memphis. 8-2 against 8-3. Memphis field goal favorites at home. Go Navy. I was at that game when they beat OU last year. I love it. All right, Friday. This is the fun because we have Thursday. Well, we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Friday is when Texas plays, but during the day there's some good games. Ole Miss at Mississippi State. 124 years they've been playing this Egg Bowl.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Why, do you know why they call it the Egg Bowl? I don't.
I don't, but I would rank Egg Bowl up there in like.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. It's the top 10-ish.
Top 10 for sure.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Mississippi only lost the
24 years. You got to give some respect to that.
I know, but Kansas State has been like 100-something years too, and nobody cares. Mississippi State, Mississippi has only 1 loss. Mississippi State has only 1 win in SEC play. But the biggest story of this game is Lane Kiffin. Is he leaving to LSU? Is he leaving to Florida? Where is he going? But he gone. And did you know the Westlake quarterback here, Reese Weiss, is committed to Mississippi, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss?
Well, that may change.
I wonder if that affects where he's going. If he'll follow him to the other place or what, I don't know. Okay, and then Utah, number 13, Utah goes to Kansas. So this is the time to give love to the Finkley family. Justice Finkley, everybody knows Justice Finkley, played edge at Texas last couple of years, came from Alabama. The Finkley family is amazing. We love them. He's playing his last year at Kansas right now, and they are playing for bowl eligibility tomorrow. So we wish Kansas and the Finkleys and the Kansas team upset Utah. Utah 10.5-point favorites. But it's senior night for the Finkley family, so sending them love to that family. So that'll be, that's a tough one. Utah coming in town, top 13 team. Number 13. All right, Georgia Tech. Remember that game last year? And it went to 8 overtime.
Yeah,
wild. And that was the weekend before we had to play them. We're like, please be exhausted.
Please be so tired.
Please be so tired. And
they
were not. Well, we went toe-to-toe. If we could kick a field goal, we would have won that game, that championship game. All right. It's true. Georgia, 2 touchdown favorites at Georgia Tech. And 11-0 Indiana, easy. They're going to Purdue. 2-9 Purdue. They're 4 touchdown favorites. So that should secure their spot in the Big Ten championship game. And then that big classic Big 12 matchup of Arizona and Arizona State.
Classic.
Both top 25 teams. That's shocking. 25 Arizona, 20. Anyway, should be a brawl. Arizona's at home and only favored by 1.5. That's going to be a good game. I think that might be good. Friday night when we get home from our game, we'll watch that. Saturday.
At 1 o'clock in the morning.
At 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll replay that. All right. So let's fly through the Saturday games real quick. Ohio State, number 1 in the country, going to Michigan. That's a big one. Let's pick that, Megan.
Woo!
Michigan. You mentioned it. How many years since they've been?
It's been 6. It's been a hot minute.
The winner probably goes to the championship game.
Yeah.
In Michigan in snow.
Currently, Ohio State, a 9.5-point favorite.
Yes.
Look, I'm going to say this. I think that Ohio State finally breaks the curse this year. I think they finally break the curse and they break it through and they beat Michigan. I don't think it's going to be a 9-point win, but I do think it's going to be, an ugly, low scoring, old school slobber knocker Big Ten game. But I do think Ohio State finally pulls it out.
I think Michigan wins it.
Calling the upset.
I just feel like 2 young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But one gets to be at home.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to make the difference.
That's fair.
And Michigan has been on a roll lately.
All right.
Why not? I mean, they're on a roll. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right. Texas Tech, number 5 in the country, goes to West Virginia. Whatever. This is a big one for ACC championship implications. Miami goes to Pitt. We needed Pitt to beat Notre Dame last week, a couple weeks ago, and they couldn't get it done. Yeah. And then they go into Georgia Tech and whoop Georgia Tech. So we'll see what happens. They get Miami at home, and they know if they win, they could be in the ACC championship. So that's for that. Clemson, South Carolina, that big rivalry. 6-5 Clemson, 4-7 South Carolina.
Wild.
That's terrible. I'll be watching, but it's terrible. What
is that? The Palmetto? They have to call it something. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. It's just, I'm sure it has a name.
Yeah.
UCF goes to BYU. That matters because BYU is in contention to be a playoff team. They are 17-point favorites at home. Another Big Ten implication /
Palmetto Bowl.
Good job. Nice, because they have a flower there.
It's the state.
Wow. State tree or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So 10-1 Oregon. Their only loss at home to Indiana. They're number 6. They go to Washington. Touchdown favorites at Oregon. Oregon, this is what's interesting. Number 8 scoring defense in the country at almost 40 points a game. Washington, number 19 scoring defense, only giving up 18 points a game. So something's going to give there.
All right. And just in Texas, Longhorns have defeated North Carolina State 102-97.
Yes, that's a top 25 win.
That
That's
is.
a quad 1 win, they say. Nice. Good. Cook 'em horns, man. All right. And they're still in Maui, right?
Yeah.
Sucking it up in Maui.
It's tough.
All right. This is what we want to pick, Megan. 7-4 LSU goes to number 8 Oklahoma. This win is looking really good for Texas. 9-2 Oklahoma. Oklahoma, number 10 scoring defense, only giving up 14 points a game. Oklahoma, the 104th worst.
LSU.
LSU. Sorry. Thank you. 104 rank scoring offense at only 22 points a game.
Yeah.
OU favored by 10.5 at home. They're on fire. They went into Bama and beat them. What do you think?
LSU is a broken team right now. They've lost their soul. They don't care. They're
And their coach.
Listen, they're in the 7th level of hell right now, but they're drunk as shit, so they don't care. Look, I think OU goes in and just curb stomps LSU. There's no way around it. I know that's what I'm saying. Into this game,
okay.
Oklahoma curb stomps LSU in Norman. Also, yeah, like look, 10.5. Take that all day, every day. OU goes in and steamrolls. What do you think?
I agree. I could see them covering that 10.5. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's rough to say it.
Yeah. Oklahoma should win that game. Okay. This is an interesting one because, again, playoff implications, because even though Texas beat Vanderbilt, they are still ranked ahead of Texas. They go to number 19, Tennessee. Tennessee wins this, they could move ahead of Texas too. Pavia's mom.
God bless America.
This is the story of this game. Have y'all seen Pavia's mom? She's cute. She's adorable. She's living her best life. I've never seen someone twerk the Heisman pose before. She's doing the Heisman pose because, her son's a baller. And she's twerking the Heisman pose because that's what moms do. Okay, so scoring offense, number 4, Tennessee at 42 points a game. Vanderbilt, no, just saying moms twerk the Heisman pose.
Yep.
And then number 9, Vanderbilt, 38.9 points a game. Number 9, scoring offense. So these are 2 massive scoring offenses, 2 top 10 scoring offenses. Tennessee's favored at home by a field goal. Do you think Vanderbilt can go into Tennessee? The Tennessee's been kind of like this, up and down with Aguilar. Do you think they can beat Vanderbilt at home?
I do. Tennessee at home? Yes, I do.
Do I think
Vanderbilt beat Tennessee in Tennessee? Yes, I do.
Oh, I was asking, do you think Tennessee can beat Vanderbilt at home?
It's at Tennessee.
Yeah, I know. Can Tennessee beat Vanderbilt at home?
That is a very confusing way to say that. I think Vanderbilt wins this game in Knoxville. Yes.
Okay.
I think that Vanderbilt is just a better team than Tennessee all around right now. And that historically has not been the thing. I think Pavia started off as such a feel-good story of this underdog that you wanted to root for, and just very quickly became the douchebag that we all want to punch in the face. So yeah, look, Matt, you're not wrong. Pavia's mom's a lot. I am all for women supporting women, so I'm trying to keep my mouth shut here. But
I love it. We need more of that, Pavia's mom.
Do we?
More of it.
I'm just saying, if I'm Pavia,
not for me or my mom or me.
I'm just saying, if I'm Pavia, that's not how I want to see my mama on national TV.
Look how
the family,
look how he's behaving.
Whatever floats your boat.
And look how the brother's behaving.
Whatever floats your boat. Yeah. Look, I think Vanderbilt goes in, and I know Tennessee's favored 3.5. Nah, Vanderbilt covers that. They take it. I think Pavia's too. I mean, he's good right now. And I know that Tennessee, that's going to be a raucous game. I think that's going to be another one where Tennessee gets ahead in the first half. It's going to be a close game in the first half. Second half, I think Vanderbilt figures it out and Pavia takes control of that game. So that's what I'm calling. How about you?
All right. Vanderbilt lit it up last week. Who did they play last week? Missouri? No. Who did they play? I don't know. Kentucky. They whooped up on Kentucky. And I cannot say Kentucky's bad because Texas survived. But yeah, Kentucky's not good. And they whooped them up. But going into Tennessee, what time is this game? 2:30 p.m. I'm going to say Tennessee survives at home.
All right.
It's going to be a shootout no matter what.
That's fair.
It's going to be like a 45-48 game.
That's fair.
All right. Missouri, Arkansas. I'm only mentioning this because Arkansas, could they possibly get one SEC win?
Could they?
No. I'm just saying. Could they?
Well, Missouri has their starter back like they did last week. So I think Arkansas, man, I know you're at home. I know you're in that Walmart special home field advantage, but I just don't think Arkansas is quite there. Now, I will give Arkansas credit. They have played a lot of teams close. They gave A&M a run for their money. They put up some points against Texas, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, I think Arkansas just isn't quite there with a maturity level to finish games quite yet. So I'll take Missouri. I think Missouri kind of gets back on track here. And I do think, Missouri is favored by 2.5. I think Missouri wins by a little bit more than that. I'm going to call it a touchdown. How about you?
All right. If Missouri got their starter back last week, they put up 49 points with them. So,
Mhm.
all right. Yeah, I think Missouri's going to roll Arkansas. They're broken. I mentioned Army at UTSA. If you're in San Antonio on Saturday, you can see Army play in the afternoon. UTSA are touchdown favorites. That's always pretty cool to see Army, the team, come play. That's pretty cool. Florida State, Florida. That is a big rivalry. Is that a top 10 for you? Because we're now up to 15 top 10 rivalries. Historically, not this year, but historically.
I keep saying so many are top 10 that I feel like I've said that about more than 10 teams. But yeah, I'd probably, without seeing the numbers right in front of me and making sure.
Kansas State out for this.
I do not put Kansas State in top 10.
Definitely had that one.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think Florida State historically, especially those programs have some history behind them.
They have championships.
And I think people care. I think that's going to be a highly watched game. So yeah, I would put that top 10 easy.
Yeah, and that's one of the ones that even though they're in different conferences, they play every year like Clemson, South Carolina.
Yeah.
All right. Maryland goes to Michigan State. I only mentioned that for you because Michigan State, 4-7 Maryland.
Yeah.
Goes to 3-8 Michigan State. Scroll down your channels until you get to the FS1 channel, and you will find Michigan State.
Hey, look, MSU's favored in that. Senior day. Let's
oh yeah, seniors.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, Florida senior day. All right. Now the last one we'll mention, and then we'll get to our Aggie. Texas
Iron Bowl of
Iron Bowl. Anything can happen in this game. You've been to a dramatic Iron Bowl, right?
I have not been.
No, that was the Michigan State game. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, 9-2. And we know rivalries. Throw it all out the window. 9-2. Number 10 Alabama go to Auburn, who's 5-6. Alabama's favored by 6.5. So we have Ty Simpson on Alabama, who is almost 3,000 yards passing. Going to Auburn with Jeremiah Cobb, who's about to hit
1,000 yards.
Who's almost at 1,000 yards rushing. Something's gonna give. What gives, Megan?
Right now, Alabama's favored by 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
God help me, I'm calling Auburn for this one. I think Auburn finally figures it out. They're at home. It's a rivalry game. Throw logic and reason out the window. I think Auburn finally completes a game. Look, they've lost. They don't even have a coach right now. I know it, but they've had the deck stacked against them. You don't need a coach when you're playing your hated rival. I think these guys, I'm telling you, I think these guys are going to be pumped and amped, and I think it's going to be kind of crazy.
Okay.
I'm calling Auburn on this one.
Okay, Auburn. I'm saying Alabama by 30. I'm saying Alabama by 30.
Fair point. All right.
All right. Let's make our Aggie predictions. Oh,
told you we'd forget it.
Told you we'd forget. Let's not forget it. Before, I promised you we would show this picture, and I almost did not. So shame on me. Let's give our okay, I will.
So look, I want to, in the spirit of rivalries and what's going on, I have to shout out to our friend that showed up. This is actually an OU fan. That showed up to the Arkansas game dressed as Bobby Petrino.
It was so good.
Listen, fans of a certain age appreciated this. College students passed him and genuinely asked him, like, man, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm dressed up as Bobby Petrino. And they're like, who? Oh, right. That was 12 years ago, Rocky, when he
had the motorcycle wreck
wrecked a motorcycle with a co-ed on the back.
Yeah, with this other woman.
But again, shout out to, like, you can't really see it in the picture.
Makeup.
He did the makeup perfectly, had coffee grounds to create the road rash. He was wearing a Sugar Bowl hat. Shout out to this excellent execution for trolling.
Good.
It was awesome.
It was really good. Okay, good. All right, let's give our predictions. Megan, would you like to go first?
No, I really don't want to go first because I'm still mulling it out in my head. But if you're going to make me...
Okay, make your prediction first with your heart and then with your head.
Plunger to the head. I'm going to go backwards on that, Rocky.
Okay, make your prediction first with your head and then with your heart.
I'm going to say, look, listen, Linda, listen. If I'm looking at this with my head, if I'm looking at the numbers, I've said this for the season. I've said this throughout this game. Y'all don't forget, get your picks in. You got to get your picks in now for a chance to win that shirt. The closest, or somebody, if you nail the score, we'll send you an Arch Manning student ID shirt. All right, back to my head prediction. A&M's the better team, and I'm going to say that A&M wins this game. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think this is going to be, we see two really good offenses that are hitting their stride right now. I think we see this. I think the over-under is somewhere in the lower 50s. I think we top that. I think this is the game that goes crazy. So if I'm using my head, I say A&M wins this game, y'all. But we all know me. I don't use my head ever when I pick these games. Come on now. I'm taking Texas in a close one. It's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think that home field advantage, and like we said multiple times, you take the stats, you take the box scores, you look at
Take the good, you take
the
the
good,
bad.
you take the bad, you look at the history, and then throw all that shit out the window. I think Texas wins this one. I think they eke it out in the end. I think this is under 4 points. So all right, Rocky, gun to the head. You're going to make me say this. I'm going to go 37-35. Texas wins this one. Texas by 2. It's a 10-point differential from 2011. But guys, I'm taking Texas officially. I'm using my heart. 37-35 in this one. Rocky, I want to hear your prediction.
All right. So Matt says 23-16. Ooh, you got low
Keeping it
scoring.
low. Okay.
Keeping it low scoring, trusting his defenses or drop passes, however you see it. So the matchup predictor, according to ESPN, the matchup predictor has Texas with a 51.5% chance of
Coming
winning.
down a little bit.
Yeah, the over under is now down to 1.5. Earlier before the season, Texas was favored by 10 or 11. It opened this week at 2.5. This is where I'm at. This is senior night, right, at Texas. Everything to play for. I even saw an Aggie post. What if we sit all our players and save them for the?
Please do.
I don't. I'll pull this up later, but
Please do.
what if we should sit all our players? Hear me out, Aggies is what he said. We should sit all our players, and then Texas can win against our 4-string, and we rest our players for the playoffs. And then it still won't look like a good win because everybody will know that we rested our players. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, I like that. Y'all should go with that. No, here's what I'm thinking.
Say it with your chest, girl.
I'm so torn because, like you said, head and heart, the Aggies have put together a good team. But when I look at who they've played and I look at how they've struggled at home against South Carolina and how they survived Arkansas, but then how they've done really good things too. I don't know which Texas team is going to show up. I really don't know which. They survived in advance, and that's all you need to do, right? Texas has struggled doing that at times. But I just feel like because it's in Austin and because it's senior night and because Texas has everything to lose if they don't win this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't even have a shot at the playoffs. Other things have to fall their way, but the one thing they can control is this game. So can I give 2 scores?
Okay. I think that's cheating, but sure. Yeah.
It will either be Texas by 2.
Okay.
Or the Aggies by 30.
Okay.
And the number 20.
God damn. Okay. That is. You got to say it with your chest.
You know
pick
what I mean?
one. You got to pick one. You made me plunger to the head. You got to pick one.
I know. Okay, I'm going to go 32-30.
Got to say it with your chest. All right. All right.
I mean, I'm keeping it real.
No, that's fair.
I'm keeping it real. I don't even know how we keep them down to 32. The over under is 51.5. So I'm way over that. All right, let's look. So Gina, thanks for joining tonight. She has 37, A&M 20.
Texas 37, A&M 34.
A&M 34. Ooh, That's a barn burner.
Yeah.
Austin Dude Guy 38-17.
Okay, Austin.
Yeah, that would be.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I would like whatever you are partaking in tonight, sir. I would like to enjoy whatever you are enjoying, but I love that prediction. 38-17. All right.
It's going to be scoring. William, I love your non-biased opinion that the Aggies by 30. Love it. I'm so torn in this game. I don't know.
I know. Head and heart pull.
I'm so confident in the way the offense has been playing lately, and I'm confident in the pressure they'll be able to get on Marcel Reed because we've seen other teams do it, like Missouri and South Carolina recently, right? And I also feel like they've only played. This is not, in my opinion, it's a fact. They've only played the bottom half of the SEC so far, and so we don't know what they look like against. Texas stank against Georgia in the 4th quarter, but Texas has battled against Georgia and battled against OU and battled against Vanderbilt, the top of the 8 of the SEC, and they have not. So this will be their first time facing this level of SEC team.
A&M, yeah.
A&M,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and look, that's where I'm listening to my heart here. I respect A&M. Like I said, I think overall they are a more rounded team than Texas is right now. They're a more consistent team than Texas is. But when you look at their record, when you look at who they have played, they haven't gone up against a team like Texas. And again, you've got to throw all of that shit out the window when you look at rivalry games.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has the advantage with the home field. I think DKR is going to be rocking. I think Reveille not being there will absolutely make the difference in this game. I'm kidding, y'all.
Yeah,
sarcasm.
well,
but look, but I do think I think there's animosity on both sides. I think both sides have heard. I think A&M is said a lot about last year. I think Texas is hearing all the things that A&M is saying. So I expect a hard hitting, crazy game. Like I said, I think this is going to be a barn burner, y'all. But Mike D, you have Texas 31, A&M 27. I respect it. I respect that pick. Yeah, it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be one for the record books. Again, I'm taking Texas. You're taking A&M by a frog.
I don't want to, but
No, I get it.
I have to.
Great teams.
Keep it real.
And look,
I don't want them celebrating an undefeated season, or which they, have they ever had that? I don't know. I don't want them celebrating our senior night, stomping on the Longhorn in the field. But if they come in here and win, then so be it.
You've earned it.
You earned it.
Look, I will say this. It's going to be a crazy game either way. We're looking forward to it. Hey, Texas fans, if you're going to be there, be loud, be proud. If you need tickets, hit me up. I've got had a few people back out. Hit me up. I still have 2 for sale. Texas fans only, William. I appreciate you, but you ain't sitting with me, buddy. All right.
Texas fans only.
All right, y'all. So show up, be there, be loud, be proud. As always, y'all, I'm Megan.
I'm Rocky.
And y'all, we are Fire the Cannon. Hook 'em.
Order as a starter last week on the road against Mississippi State. This staff.
We're back in the fucking
house. All right, let's go. Bye, y'all.